17th. Morning wake-up notes here. We have corn up a penny and beans flat in overnight trade. We did see last week on Friday funds were buyers of 78,000 corn. Pretty sizable purchase week. In fact, that's the fifth largest buying week they've had all year, which is fairly rare for the month of December. So active buying there likely spilled over additional support through yesterday's trade and overnight here tonight. Funds don't hold very much of a significant long position. Right now, they're only at 39% of record longs. So that does keep the door open to saying that if they did want to buy more, they have plenty of room to do so. Although, again, in the month of December in slower trade, we wouldn't expect them to be nearly as active as that previous 78,000 buying week, but something to keep an eye on. Now, on the resistance side for corn, the fund buying may slow down some of the speculative sellers, but it's highly likely that cash selling is going to kick in again at or near 450. So we still have reason to see resistance even with the fund buying here recently. Switching over to the beans, the crush report yesterday came in a little bit disappointing. It came in at 193.2 million bushels when trade was expecting 196.7. Most of that comes from an ADM crush plant that was idle for 6 weeks. Now, trade likely knew that this could slow down the crush report and was most likely the reason why beans were under pressure from even the start of yesterday before the report ever came out. Now, we should note that that plant is up and running again. So while that was concerning for the most recent crush report, we would expect a bounce back on the next one unless any other issues pop up. South American weather maps added rain for Argentina. We could make the case that part of Argentina was dry yesterday, but nothing overly threatening. But this morning's maps go right back to suggesting active rains for Argentina across all areas there, really. So once again, no concern on South American weather. Over in the wheat, still drifting lower, back to a drift lower, we should say. 4 days of drifting lower, and now March Chicago wheat is not very far from contract lows again, which are 540 and a quarter. So that'll be the key number to watch here for the March wheat. We should also mention that March beans has taken over as lead contract for beans. So watching any chart levels in that market should be watched in March now instead of January. Now, lastly, flipping over to cattle, boxed beef, pretty impressive yesterday. Choice up 98, select up 571. That takes Packer cushion to the positive, the gross Packer cushion, that is. So positive 31 cents. Still not an overly impressive number, but this number, the Packer cushion number, has not been over $0 since November 6th. So it's been quite some time that the Packer cushion's been negative and is now flipped to being positive. However, the current issue that seems to be our number one influence is the feeder cattle index. Not a typical fundamental factor that tends to move cattle actively, but again, and we've mentioned this before, no traders have forgotten that the feeder index turning around last fall is what started the beginning of a $30 futures slide. It's likely every single cattle trader remembers that. So when they're seeing the feeder cattle index even stumble slightly, we're seeing very quick caution in this market. Now, that feeder cattle index was down 86 cents yesterday to 261.73. So the two key factors to watch are, of course, always boxed beef, especially right now. But for the short term, the single largest influence may be that feeder cattle index. So we should keep just an equal or even more aggressive watch on what happens to that index every day here for the next couple weeks at least. No real updates on the Mexican border opening. Some rumors say before Jan 1, some saying well after Jan 1, but no solid headlines to suggest a solid date that we can believe in right now. So that's what we have for your morning notes. If you have any questions, you could call me direct, 815-578-6159, and continue tuning in to Morning Wake Up Calls.